Next up, our final presentation connects everything we've heard from purpose to practice through a framework for embedding wellbeing in strategy itself. Vanessa Pilla's presentation, Getting Your Social Value Ecosystem Right, Leadership as the Catalyst of Systemic Change. Vanessa Pilla is the co-founder of Pathmaker, a social enterprise providing strategic advisory services that empower organisations to create, deliver and measure social value. Please welcome Vanessa Pilla.
Excellent, thank you. And just to maybe shift the energy a little bit, can anyone from the private sector stand up? Okay, good. Few. Thank you. Public sector? Not-for-profit? Oh, more than I expected. Great. Did I miss anything? Where does academia sit? Yeah, okay, good. All right, excellent, thank you. Thanks for that warm introduction, Min. I am an urban planner by training. Have spent many years in economic development and sustainability strategy and have about 25 years experience of working in the built environment and the energy sector here in Australia and the UK. And I guess all that experience has really giving me, I guess, a deep appreciation for the role different actors play in actually delivering the wellbeing economy. So fortunately, about a year ago, a colleague and I decided to shift the energy a little bit of, oh, it's the wrong presentation, but that's okay, we'll make do. I had just updated it this morning. That's all right, my fault. It's all, I'll work with these slides. But this is my colleague Laura and I. We decided to set up Pathmaker as a social enterprise and to really shift the way businesses operate, and in particular strategic consulting businesses. So we provide those strategic services to both public and private organisations. So while we are, I think what we learnt yesterday about benefit corporations, we're also supporting other businesses to deliver purpose into their strategies. So I will use the term social value a lot, and just, I guess, to help frame that conversation, this is the definition of what we mean by social value, so the net impact an organisation or an investment an activity makes on the wellbeing of people and planet now and in the future. So it's how we achieve the wellbeing economy. But it's important to note, and it has been said earlier on this panel, that the term wellbeing is not generally used in the business sector or the private sector. Social value is starting to get a bit of traction because we talk about shareholder value, so it's about broadening that value. And that the language has really evolved a lot in the last 20 years. You know, corporate social responsibility has been around for a long time, that then morphed into more taking a quadruple bottom line approach to sustainability, that then morphed into ESG, then now we talk about community benefits sharing, and it really always just depends on the sector and the clients, and sometimes just the time. So language is something I think is important to unpack, not spend too much time on, but the next session is all about how we advocate for a wellbeing economy. And I do think if you want business involved, we need to think smart about the language that we use. And despite whatever definition you use, I think that underlying purpose is the same. It's the value to society. So from a business perspective, you know, I'm interested in how businesses can balance profit and purpose. For too long, our economic systems have rewarded shareholder value above all else. And we are seeing that we're living in a moment of change where governments, those in the room, through the wellbeing frameworks, are indicating a change. We're seeing investors through ESG disclosures expecting a change, and we're seeing broader communities really demanding more from business to demonstrate how they are contributing to the wellbeing of society. And there's also this growing body of evidence that suggests purpose-driven organisations are perhaps performing not just as well as their peers, but even better. So those ESG performance and wellbeing alignments are being recognised as strong indicators of business resilience and long-term financial success. So we're seeing that purpose and performance can actually go hand in hand, and business has a role to play in delivering the wellbeing economy. So purpose does not need to, I guess, compromise profitability. So despite this momentum, I guess, many businesses really struggle to move from this theoretical commitment to practical application. The Centre for Social Impact released a report just a couple of months ago around social sustainability reporting that showed it's easier to measure what's easy than what is meaningful to communities. And they really stressed what we all know already, but there's this lack of standardised methodologies that only makes it more difficult for businesses to report on their impact. So we've developed this framework just to help our clients gain greater clarity on what social value creation is possible for them and how they can measure it in a meaningful way that is material to their business purpose. And I think what is a real message of this panel is that it really needs to start with leadership. And this is something that often gets overlooked and what we call scope zero. Because before you can really meaningfully measure impact or you need to build the foundations of social value into your DNA. And we believe the way you do that is by setting really clear objectives that are aligned with your business purpose and the community needs. So once you've got scope zero, you can then build on to the next scope, which is those things that are within your direct control and implementation. And generally, we start with things that are internal in terms of business, what they have that direct control over, their HR, professional development. But it also looks at business practices and how you contribute to those broader social outcomes. Before you move to scope 2, which is that sphere of influence, how you use levers like procurement and partnerships and local engagement to allow those ripple effects to happen within those local economies. And then the third scope is really that systemic support, which is much harder to measure, of course, but it is where you really are creating that systemic change through industry collaboration, advocacy and innovation to really address some of those root causes. So what I wanted to do was show this framework, but then demonstrate it in a case study of how we've applied this to a client to help understand how we use it as a business. So one of our clients is Ausgrid. They are a major electricity distributor in New South Wales, highly regulated business, and they approached us wanting to measure their social value and quantify it. We always ask, why do you want to do that and for who? And then that helps us better understand their motivations. We also undertake a social value maturity assessment to really understand the current state of the organisation to ensure that we understand what ecosystem they're currently working in. And lucky for Ausgrid, they had a very strong purpose statement, which was to make electricity accessible for all. They also had a really strong brand proposition, which was wired for good. And what that meant was their staff across New South Wales are highly engaged and believe in that purpose and are continually doing good work above and beyond their jobs because they are so passionate. But what that meant, interestingly enough, is if you ask them could you articulate what accessible for all means, few people could actually unpack what that meant in a real tangible way. So what that meant was it was very limited in how they could implement this purpose statement in their business and then how they could measure it. So we worked quite closely with their leadership team and with staff across their business to really define what does social value mean for your business. It is a monopoly business and it's highly regulated. So they saw it as both a responsibility and an opportunity to really respond to local priorities in where they're working. We've identified 3 key outcomes for them and have developed a theory of change for them that really then sets up the social value framework that allows them to guide internal decision making. We've also identified different levers of change that they can use. And this foundation, I guess, is really helping them understand what social value they can create and how they can deliver it, and consistently apply it within their operations, because that's where you're going to get the scale. And I guess Ausgrid are just one of many, many businesses in Australia that have developed these really ambitious purpose statements with really good intentions to do more with the resources they have, but don't necessarily understand how they can apply it. What we're advocating is that the path forward isn't about corporate social responsibility and this bit of an add-on. It is about redefining business success through this ecosystem thinking and getting really clear on your purpose and why, what change you want to create, so that builds that strategic foundation for how you deliver across your operations, because that is where the real scale of opportunity is. So really, I guess the future of business isn't about choosing between purpose and profit. It's about recognising that actually one sustains the other, and it's really about a long-term strategy for success.